July 9th, 2026, the Epoch Times reported today that the FBI has arrested 113 active spies from foreign nations. This according to Agency Director Kash Patel on the 8th of July. The arrest of foreign spies means our tech stays home and our defense secrets stay locked down, in a video shared by Kash Patel on X. But the FBI didn't stop there. They forced 62 removals of Chinese spies in 2026 alone. But spies in our midst seeking to steal American technology and undermine our national security does not stop at the Chinese. It seems the FBI has snagged another foreign spy. At a time when South Africa's foreign policy establishment consistently attacks and mocks the United States and President Trump, when they plead ignorance as to why the United States is unhappy with Pretoria, they were busy spying on our most sensitive nuclear research facility and stealing information, which was then handed over to the Rainbow Nations intelligence services. Anyamba knowingly acted as an agent of a foreign country. A former South African Air Force Brigadier General has been sentenced to 6 months in a United States federal prison while working at one of the U.S.'s most sensitive national security research facilities. 59-year-old Portia Anyamba, who was living in Knoxville, Tennessee, was sentenced to prison on June 17, 2026 in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Tennessee. She pled guilty to one count of acting as an agent of the Republic of South Africa without notifying U.S. Attorney General, which is in violation of federal law. She also pled guilty to one count of making false statements on a U.S. government security clearance application. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, the case stems from her work in 2023 and 2024 as a program management operational specialist in the National Security Program Office at Oak Ridge National Laboratory in Tennessee. Folks, the Oak Ridge National Laboratory is one of the United States Department of Energy's most important scientific research facilities. Oak Ridge National Laboratory conducts extensive nuclear research focusing heavily on advanced reactor concepts, nuclear fuel development, and isotope production. It was established during the Manhattan Project in 1943 and houses major facilities like the high-flux isotope reactor. So a South African spy is at our most sensitive nuclear facility, research facility. So what key nuclear areas might they be researching? Well, advanced reactors and fuels, pioneering the next generation of reactor designs, molten salt technology, and TRISO particle fuel development, nuclear science and safety, extending the operational life of our current nuclear plants, thermal hydraulics research, and digital instrumentation, isotope production, producing critical radioisotopes used for medical treatments, industrial applications, and space exploration, fusion and nonproliferation, designing structural materials for fusion energy systems, and advancing nuclear security safeguards. So while the South African government was attacking the U.S. government, well, they weren't really saying a whole lot then because it was Sleepy Joe Biden in office in 2023 and 2024 when she was committing espionage against the United States. Now, we can parse this and say she wasn't committing espionage. She simply failed to register as an agent of a foreign government. Well, that's typically a charge leveled against American citizens who lobby on behalf of foreign governments, not for foreign nationals who embed themselves in our sensitive nuclear research facilities and then hand over information to foreign intelligence services. That's what we call espionage. The investigation was conducted by the FBI's Nashville Field Office and the Department of Energy's Office of Intelligence and Counterintelligence. Now, they found that Anyamba was acting in the United States under the direction and control of the Republic of South Africa, and that she also made material false statements during her security clearance application. I'm confused. Is she a naturalized citizen? How does she get a security clearance if she's not part of the Five Eyes community? You can't have a security clearance and have access as a foreign national. We don't grant security clearances to foreign nationals. She must be naturalized, but no story is talking about that. Investigators said that Anyamba maintained regular contact with an intelligence officer from South Africa's state security agency, identified in court records only as IO1. Consider that a courtesy, South Africa. We know who the spy is, and we haven't doxed him. Unlike the South African government's Department of Home Affairs, which doxed a U.S. diplomat performing a diplomatic mission in violation of the Vienna Conventions on the 16th of December. At Woodmead, they doxed the personal details and passport information of U.S. diplomat. But we extended a courtesy that wasn't due to South Africa by not identifying your spy working in America, the other spy. Now, the individual was described by the SSA's then Deputy Chief of Station and former Acting Chief of Station at the South African Embassy in Washington, D.C. In February 2024, FBI agents monitored a meeting between Anyamba, the intelligence officer, and another individual associated with the South African government. They first met at a restaurant in Knoxville before moving to a nearby hotel. On November 7th, 2024, FBI agents intercepted her before the planned meeting in Knoxville and seized a laptop computer that she was carrying. But while these events were unfolding, Anyamba was also applying for U.S. government security clearance that would have allowed her access to classified information. Once again, I question, how the hell does she get a security clearance? Is she a naturalized U.S. citizen? Otherwise, you can't have a security clearance. We only give clearances to American citizens. As part of the process for applying for that clearance, she completed the standard form, that's the SF-86 security questionnaire. Prosecutors said she falsely declared that she had no ongoing contact with foreign nationals and had not been in contact with representatives of foreign government during the previous 7 years. Well, she's a liar and she's a spy. When I did my security clearance, I always admitted that I have ongoing contact with foreign nationals overseas because that's required. But that was my job. Wow. South Africa is pleading ignorance about why their relationship with the United States is so poor, when in reality, it's quite obvious. As I've said repeatedly, training Chinese test pilots or training their pilots to fly combat aircraft to shoot down NATO aircraft using American and European pilots at the Test Flying Academy and then shipping our sensitive equipment to China violated our national security interest and also the contract that allowed that equipment to leave the United States in the first place. The use of that equipment is not allowed to be shipped to China. And here we have the South African State Security Agency spying on the United States. Wow. Can you believe this? Well, I can believe it. And while she got caught, I will say that countries spy on each other. It's the nature of international relations. Essentially, that's why we have embassies. It's overt. It's no secret. The South African embassy in D.C. is there to represent the interest of Pretoria and to keep information on America supplied to Pretoria so they're aware of what's going on. But that information is open source and available. When you're invited to a place, you go and you can talk to your country about that. When you're a military attaché and invited to a base, the expectation is you saw something we wanted you to see and you share it with your government to tamp down tensions and to reassure our partners and our allies and our adversaries. But trying to illicitly get a security clearance to be inside a nuclear research facility with the most sensitive U.S. secrets, that's not overt. That's covert. And covert equals espionage. The fact she got just 6 months is shocking to me, probably because she wasn't charged with espionage, but simply failing to register. And that's probably a harsh penalty for failing to register. But make no mistake, South Africa was spying on the United States. Hey, the United States probably spies on South Africa. Britain spies on America. The U.S. spies on Britain. Really? Yeah. Well, overtly. Do we do it covertly? Well, I hope that's not necessary. But countries spy on each other. So before people start losing their mind, the behavior of the African National Congress since December 2024 is far more egregious than this situation. She got caught. And this happens. The real concern in this country is the proliferation of Chinese spies in our academic institutions and in our government. And why we're letting Chinese nationals have access to sensitive information is beyond me. But Brigadier General Portia Anyamba will now do time in a federal penitentiary. What say you, South Africa? Is this a nothing burger? It's not a nothing burger, but it's also not something to go to war over. States spying each other. But how embarrassing for Pretoria. Next time they try to complain about America, they really don't have a leg to stand on. They were caught red-handed trying to steal nuclear secrets from the United States. Who are they stealing them for? Kuberg or Tehran? Ask yourself that question. Why did the South Africans seek to have a spy in our most sensitive nuclear research facility? Was it for South Africa's nuclear industry, which doesn't need help, or was it for Tehran? There's the real question. Cheers.